What's up again, everybody? Well, ProQuest season is rolling in. It's time to start dusting off your deck boxes, sleeving up your cards, and getting back into competitive play. And what better way to do that than to chronicle some of the most influential cards that you will see and you should get your hands on for this upcoming ProQuest season. Yes, that's right. We're going to talk about 5 cards from the most recent set, Dynasty. Why would I put Voltaire Strike twice as the background? I literally just made this graphic and I didn't think it at all. I should have put a Dynasty card there. Well, you know what? Hold on really quick. There we go. That's much better. That's right. 5 cards from the recent Dynasty set that will make an impact here in ProQuest, and you should get your hands on to play. These are cards from the most recent Dynasty set that a lot of people, myself included, originally thought, wasn't really making a ton of big changes to the meta. And yet, these cards are. So let's chronicle 5 of the most powerful cards from this set that you need to get your hands on. Starting with Black Tech Whisperers. Look, here's the thing. I don't necessarily believe that Arachne is the S-tier hero that you should be picking up and playing for ProQuest. But here's the thing. You can take Arachne to ProQuest and do well. Arachne themselves is not a hero that has to survive in a specific meta and only thrive on a specific meta. It functions. The deck works, and if you want to play Arachne and do well, I think the key piece to that deck is Black Tech Whisperers. It's not necessarily the mask. I do think you can gain a lot of power and abilities from the Mask of Perdition. Perdition, that's the word. You can gain a lot of value from Mask of Perdition, but I honestly believe that Black Tech actually just makes the deck function. And you take that for what it is. I mean, you may not necessarily enjoy the fact that this legendary piece of equipment kind of makes the deck run, but I will say this. All the way back in WTR with those influential and very powerful and kind of class-defining legendaries. It's been happening since the beginning, and this is one that you can get for relatively cheap, and you can have it forever, and you can play it with every assassin that ever gets released, and it really, really, really does the trick. You can try playing a more aggressive version of the deck and maybe run like Snapdragon Scalers, but I just don't think it's worth it. I think Black Tech is worth picking up, especially if you see yourself playing Arachne or any other assassin going forward. Owe it to yourself, pick up Black Tech Whisperers, and just play it this ProQuest season and until the end of time, because it's just that good, giving attack reaction if it hits go again, just super duper solid. Next up on our list is Ironsong Pride. So here's the thing. Perhaps a dark horse pick in the current meta, Dorinthia is made so much better simply by Ironsong Pride. And it's interesting because Dorinthia has gotten better and better with just little additions. In fact, she's almost gotten what we could kind of refer to as the brute treatment, where they just get like 1 or 2 cards and then all of a sudden they get better. And then again, 1 or 2 cards, they get better. This is kind of what Dorinthia's gained, and this card really pushes her up, in my opinion, because a card that can be at instant speed placed out as an aura and just give you a token, gaining a +1 attack for, ad infinitum. Basically, your opponent has to commit a turn to taking away the token or the counter that you're giving with this card. This is an incredibly powerful tool and one that you should go and snatch up and then immediately put into Dorinthia, because it makes Dorinthia that much more terrifying and that much more potent. Because being able to put a counter on your weapon, on your Dawnblade, at any moment, including after your opponent has full blocked and perhaps evenly blocked, and then you just push over the top with Ironsong Pride and then just continue to gain the counter value. This card is really, really good. And it's cards like this that we've seen printed in previous supplemental sets have major impact on those heroes. Things like Swarming Gloomveil, Revel in Runeblood, Spoils of War, right? This is that card for this set, Ironsong Pride. It's one that maybe people didn't kind of pin right away, but it does the trick. And then third up is a nice little combo here. Look, I have to mention Beaten Trackers every single time I can, because listen, if this upcoming competitive season were Blitz, then Beaten Trackers would be like the #1 card on this list, because Beaten Trackers is arguably the best card ever released for Brute in the Blitz format. I know that is that's a very bold statement, because like Swing Big is really good, and like, well, really, there's a lot of good Brute cards out there. But Beaten Trackers is so stinking good. That being said, this is Classic Constructed season, and so we have to talk about Savage Beatdown. Savage Beatdown is one of those cards that can just close out games in terrifying fashion. It has a big drawback in that you have to have basically already forced the discard onto a 6, right? You have to have already discarded a 6 in order to play this. But if you manage to pull it off, you're oftentimes swinging for 12, maybe even 14 if you're doing it off Blood Rush Bellow, which is oftentimes like the play. And you're probably swinging into, you know, an opponent that has no cards left in hand. This card just pushes you over the top, and it's one of those things, it's kind of like old school Alpha Rampage back in the day. Like, you would try to line up Alpha Rampage turns where you'd quad Intimidate, Alpha Rampage them in the face, and this just does the same exact thing. So more redundancy and possibly even more power level. Like, this card is just a powerful one, and you're going to see Rhinar, and maybe you want to play Rhinar in ProQuest. I think Rhinar is a solid pick for the current meta, and if you're going to be picking up Rhinar, definitely consider grabbing a set of Savage Beatdowns, throwing them in the deck, building the deck around it to some degree so that you can guarantee the discard on the 6 plus the action point, and then just go into town doing exactly what that card depicts, hitting them in the face. The fourth card you should pick up in triplicate, or in this case, a single copy of, because it's Crown of Dominion, a legendary headpiece. I had to put the blingy one on here. But look, you don't have to pick this one up. And there's a lot of people that are jumping on the Crown of Dominion now after seeing just the pure value that you can get for any hero just running a free 0-cost draw 2 cards effect. Because creating the gold token and then just playing cash in gives you that draw 2 for free, and it is incredibly powerful. And any hero that wants to draw cards. So this is all your Rune Blades. This is, any hero that enjoys aggression or aggressive play, that wants more cards to be able to push more damage. So I run this in aggro Dromai. You could consider playing this in Ninja. I know Ninja has so many great headpieces, but you literally could consider playing this in Ninja. It's kind of crazy in that respect that it almost competes there. Anything that wants to draw cards and have extra cards in hand for some benefit, you can just consider playing Crown of Dominion. I mean, you could almost consider playing Crown of Dominion in Guardian, aggressive Guardian, just to grab more cards and pummel more. Like, it's crazy how flexible this card is, because it allows those types of plays. And that is why this card is seeing the uptick in play across heroes, and really, it deserves it, because this card's really good, and you can pick this one up relatively cheap. It's a legendary. The one that's on the screen is the highest rarity, the most beautiful version of it, but if you just pick up the regular version of this card, you can do this for a steal, and it opens up a variety of different, just slight variations on decks you may already play, like Royal Briar or Royal Dromai. So definitely pick this one up. And finally, I don't know if you guessed what this card would be, but I think the most influential card that you should go out and pick up from Dynasty is No, it's not Command & Conquer. Look, don't buy this version from... Command & Conquer is a really good card. Look, don't buy it from Dynasty because it's the Fable. Don't do that one. Look, Command & Conquer is good. It's a reprint, though. Go find, slightly cheaper copies. This card's incredibly powerful, but really what we're here to talk about is Pulse Wave Harpoon. This card, I don't want to say single-handedly because I also put Nitro Mechanoid on there. Pulse Wave Harpoon, though, almost single-handedly just catapults Dash into the discussion for best aggro deck. It's either Dash or it's Fi, and you have to decide, where your loyalties lie. But because Pulse Wave Harpoon exists, it's probably the best card, like playable-wise, in your deck that you can get out of this set. I mean, we had some very powerful ones prior to this. I've talked a lot about Beaten Trackers, how good that card is. I've just talked about Ironsong Pride, but I think this outpaces both of them. It's the preeminent card in the set. This card being able to be a mid-turn play or an end-turn play against aggro that just rips a card out of their hands that they really want on their turn. Being able to go up against control and take away a control piece, being able to destroy a combo deck. This card is a terror. And anytime you sit down to play a dash, whether or not you know what kind of dash they're playing, they're most likely running Pulse Wave Harpoon, and they can all make some amount of value play out of Pulse Wave Harpoon. Now, I put Nitro Mechanoid on here because Nitro Mechanoid is a hugely fun card that you can just straight up build a deck around that I got to experience on stream a couple of nights ago. If you want to go watch that stream, check it out. I literally just requested viewer decks, and I just tried to figure out what in the world I was doing with viewer decks, and it went incredibly well. And it was super fun because someone passed me a Nitro Mechanoid deck, and I got to play Nitro Mechanoid for the first time. This card's fun, but you know what? It's all about that Pulse Wave Harpoon. That card is the #1 card you should pick up in triplicate, have play sets of, and go out there and run. So that is my list. Oh no, it's back. Oh no, Voltaire. Oh, we got to get that off there. Get Voltaire off there. There you go. Mind Warp. Didn't make the list, sorry Mind Warp, but these are 5 Dynasty cards that you should pick up in preparation for the ProQuest season. It's going to be a fantastic few weeks of competition. I know I'm going to be heading out pretty soon up to Chicago for MinMax Games ProQuest. That's going to be a blast. I am going to be there live, and we're going to be hanging out with none other than Watch Flake. You guys know Watch Flake. So Matt and I are going to hang out. We're going to like yell into a microphone a few times, probably talk about barbecue sauce, and watch some games. So if you want to come check that out, check it out on stream, or just come see us in person. If you enjoyed this video, look, you can make a number go to a larger number by 100. I mean, not you personally. You can click one button and one thing goes up. You can also support the channel on Patreon, and your name actually does go in lights. That's the really cool play. As always, thanks for watching.